Welcome to the Social Media for Business podcast. This is episode 9, where I am your host, Rebecca Bridgen from Innov8 Social, specialists in managing B2B on-brand maritime social media. And today we will be speaking with Dan Bryant, founder of DMB Films, experts in video production, who have done a lot of filming actually with some big brands in maritime. So we're thrilled to have you on the show, Dan. It's wonderful. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Rebecca.
So Dan will be sharing insights into video's role in communicating internal culture using video on social media, which is actually a great follow-on from episode 8 with Andy Ford. So do check that out if you haven't already. And we'll be focusing more so on how this weaves into recruitment campaigns. So this episode will be great for recruiters to understand the power of video on social media for attracting the right talent. So Dan, could you briefly introduce yourself and tell us about DMB Films and how you came to work so much within maritime and industrial sectors? Because it's not just maritime, you really do span the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the pressure to follow such a polished introduction there. I feel like I'm on a TV show. So, like you said, Rebecca, my name's Dan. I set up DMB Films about 7 years ago or so now, and fundamentally, we are a video agency and we help big brands tell their stories to their internal audiences. We help them communicate stories about their employer brand to external audiences, and we support with recruitment. So we're not your typical video agency where we just create films. We've niched down into sort of internal comms and engagement, if you like. And how we went down that route is my background prior to this is working in internal comms, L&D and change for quite a few large FTSE 100 companies.
Oh, wow.
Over the last 10, 12 years or so. And like you said, we work cross industries. So we work in retail, in hospitality, in travel and in maritime. How we got into all of our sectors is fundamentally we tell people's stories, and there's people across all different sectors. So we're sort of industry agnostic, if you like, in that sense. But in maritime, there's some really, really interesting stories to be told. And yeah, video is such an amazing tool to communicate to groups in the maritime space.
And I mean, I am a little bit biased, obviously, because I'm in maritime, but there are some absolutely insane stories to be told of people in maritime because, it's a fascinating industry. So when did you first notice businesses starting to use video as a serious tool for recruitment?
It's probably about 4 or 5 years ago, but I think there's a broader shift towards video in general, and I think it's driven by tons of macro factors around the accessibility of tech, social media, and how sort of prevalent video is in our lives nowadays, and with that's driven, it's given people the opportunities to try new things, so to try something different. If we go back 10 years ago, so when I was working client side, video was really, really expensive. And because it was so expensive, lots of really senior decision makers had to be involved in crafting scripts and briefs and storyboards. And rightly or wrongly, the output always tended to be quite corporate. I suppose there was no one sort of closest to the ground who really understood operations, who was getting involved in sort of crafting the briefs that go and the messages that communicated in video. And it was more linked to strategies and goals and all the rest of it. But like I said, as the tech has become more accessible and we're seeing more and more video, it's just opened up the doors to allow, well, for smaller budget projects to happen where maybe the decision making doesn't have to go so high up the hierarchy, and some quite interesting things have started to happen as a result of that.
And that's really interesting that you say that, because similar to episode 8, where Andy was talking about the culture and it's all about people, you're basically saying the same thing. It's about the people. And I think businesses are switching to the fact that actually it's their people that sell, and it's the reality, it's the real company that is being sold now, and that is the people. So I think sort of that corporate speak is so grey or beige or whatever, vanilla, and it doesn't really tell you anything about the business really. But when you meet the people, they do, and that companies are now switching on to that, as well as the sort of whole, it's how you make people feel, it's the emotion, but people make people feel emotions. So it's tapping into that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've listened to your last episode to Andy's bit, and I resonate so much with everything he's saying. Even from taking it really low level to my agency, we've started to put out a lot of our own sort of people-based content.
Yeah, and I love that content, I have to say. It's great.
Yeah, and it's brilliant, and it's something that the team have run with it and have come up with all the ideas. It's really just showcasing us as a group of people. We're not trying to hard sell anything about what we do. It's just trying to portray our personalities. And over the last month, and I'm not exaggerating, I've been to 5 different clients' head offices, and just completely unsolicited, somebody's come up to me and said, "I'm loving your content online. It's
Yeah.
really good. It's really good to see
Yeah.
the rest of the team." And that's then developed into conversations about new projects. So
Yeah.
Andy was absolutely right, and what he was saying about people-based content really resonates with people.
And I just delivered a workshop yesterday about business development on social media, before an event and during an event and after, obviously. And one of the things I said straight away was, okay, when you've connected with someone, you do not sell to them straight away. You just don't. It's just not the done thing, because you don't need to, because if you've got good content, it's selling you already subtly. People are getting to know you, and that's what really counts. So you don't need to do that hard sell and pushiness. I think long gone are those days of those pushy salespeople. It just doesn't sit well with us anymore as people. So moving on, what, in your experience, what types of video content, and you started to talk about it already, are most effective at attracting talent via social media?
The types of video content are it's shorter form video that really gives an insight into what life is like working for that particular company or brand. So it's less of the weird, this is our 5-year plan and this is where we're going, and it's so great to work here because of XYZ benefit. It's more of, my typical day looks like this. I love my day at work because I do this. It's those real human stories. And I feel like I'm repeating a lot of what Andy said, but it's the same sort of messaging. It's people focused content. It's giving audiences or potential job hunters a view to what it's like on behind the scenes of a brand. There's like we have lots of sort of review platforms nowadays, like Glassdoor, that
Oh, yes.
they've really grown in popularity to give like an honest, real opinion of what it's like to work inside companies. And video is essentially another tool that's just shining a light there, that's giving a real person's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I like Glassdoor, but the only thing I'm always mindful of is you're more likely to comment on Glassdoor when you're a disgruntled employee than when you're like super happy with where you're working. You're less likely to feel motivated to comment on it. But I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. So I was thinking, the thinking behind recruitment videos, is it showcasing the company, but you're showcasing the team, obviously, but you're showcasing the job role. And I guess it's helping people visualize what it would be like to do that job role. And actually, the only way you can do that is quite often when, you've got new people working, they will shadow somebody to learn how to do the job. So it's almost effective, like you're doing that before they've even got there, and they go, oh yeah, actually, I quite fancy that. But also it's important because a lot of people, like you were saying earlier, a lot of people choose where they want to work based off the people that they get to work with. And actually, oddly, I saw a post this morning by Alex King, who has done lots of work for Innov8, and she, funnily enough, talks about the people. It's the people that you work with that shape who you are and whether you want to work with a company. She did a lovely post about this, which has got loads of engagement this morning. And your videos are showing the actual people. They're not just, actors who you won't be working with. They're actually real people. Oh yeah, I know you because and you were really funny and I thought actually I could learn from you, or you'd be fun to work with, kind of thing. Is that the sort of where you're going?
Yeah, 100%. And we've, funny enough, with a cruise brand that we work with, there are a couple of people on in one of the brands that feature quite heavily in a lot of the
Yeah.
videos because,
Yeah.
or they're quite big characters, so
Yeah.
they're quite memorable. And when new people board the ship, so like, oh yeah, I saw you so and so in the
Yeah.
video, and it's always like they feel like they've made a connection already with their new team because I'm seeing them in content so much.
I mean, I think one of the first brands that I really saw clued up on the people thing was actually a good few years ago, but it wasn't. I don't think it was social media. They might have done, but I never saw anything on there. Was it Nat West? And it was the guy from Birmingham that they sort of put all over
Oh,
their
are you talking about
posters.
Howard?
Howard, that's it. Yeah,
Halifax, I think.
yeah,
Was it Halifax
Halifax.
or
That
Nat
was it.
West?
Yeah.
Yeah, guy at glasses.
Yeah, because he was an actual
Yeah,
employee, wasn't he? And they sort
yeah,
of, he was obviously a big character. And actually, I was
yeah,
going to ask you, how do you find the characters within that corporation that you go, you know what? Because not everybody does work on a camera. They, some people are really awkward or they don't want to be on or whatever. And so it's actually finding the right person that is engaging and
yeah.
can work the camera, darling. That sort of thing.
But that's exactly what we're not looking to do. We're not
Yeah.
looking for people to work the camera because we're trying to tell real stories, not this
Yes.
fabricated on the
Yes.
stage under a spotlight type story. And like, don't get me wrong, when you've got a camera and a big light and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, people are going to put on a bit of a show. So what we try to do is we always try to be as unobtrusive as possible. So
Yeah.
we try and use natural light, for example, where possible. We try not to use
Yeah.
big lights, discrete cameras. We get quite far away from the action, and oftentimes we'll have one of the team interviewing the person on camera, and we just
Yeah.
try and leave those two people to it. So they're just having a chat, and if you're, if the crew's far enough away, then it feels to that person on camera, it feels like they're just having a chat with somebody. And we
Yeah.
use those sort of techniques to try and to draw out them really as
Yeah.
a person. But it's not quick. So a lot of the
Mhm.
content we produce might be over in like 30 seconds, a minute, but it's all in it's the art of the questioning. And well, you probably
Yeah.
know from
Yeah.
hosting this podcast, it's the follow-up questions, the probing, it's the building rapport. Yeah, I'm really lucky. I've got a fantastic team who are really great at doing that and building relationships. And at the end of the day, we're trying to tell people stories, so we need great people to help them tell those stories.
Yeah, and like you're saying it is really important to, because I've been in front of your camera. That's how we first met. And yeah, and it's quite daunting, isn't it? You suddenly think, oh God, how do I look? Oh, you put the fat filter on, that all that sort of thing. And but also you don't want to come across like an idiot. So you're just a bit conscious about what you're saying. And but actually being able to disarm somebody and make them feel comfortable, then you're going to get the best out of them and the most natural and honest answers, aren't you? And I thought that is a talent in itself.
Yeah, and what we started moving towards is that I'm a massive fan of sort of raw, rough and ready, sort of documentary style
Yeah.
films, and that way of shooting really lends itself to what we do and the sort of films and stuff we produce. But we've started to go more documentaries. So we recently worked on a recruitment project for a big pub chain in London.
Okay.
And the brand, it's quite a young brand. They're like 10 years old, and they're really fun as a brand, really energetic. The people are just all fantastic, and we
Yeah.
wanted to try and get that energy across, and the
Yeah.
real spirit and culture of the company. So rather than a big scripted piece and a big setup, big crew. We literally had a person and a person with a camera and an interviewer, and we sort of got on shift with these teams and stood behind the bar chatting to people, sitting in the
Yeah.
kitchen, in their environments whilst they're working, to get a real sense of what their world is like. And the result was some really, really fun films that are now being used in recruitment for that brand.
And did that was a measurable, I'm assuming that it was measurable success via social channels as well, was it? And it sort of, because I was going to ask you, was there a recruitment video campaign that you did that had some really measurable success? I think you mentioned yesterday about a care centre that you did, and you found the
Yeah.
sweet spot, didn't you?
So yeah, they're not related to maritime at all, but and I'm going back quite a few years now, but we were working with a care provider. So this company provides care assistance to the local community to support elderly and vulnerable people in their own homes, which is a fantastic thing to do. But they went through a period of time where they were struggling to not just recruit, but get the right people coming through the
Yeah.
recruitment process. And at the time, we were doing a little bit more than just video for them. We were looking after the more broader marketing for them. That's a separate story. We don't do that anymore. But just to give
You
the
niched down.
niche down, exactly.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Just to give the context. And I'd been working with this company for a long while, so I got to know them and the people and the culture. And I said to the MD one day, I said, "Look, I know what I think I know what we need to do. We need to. You've got some fantastic people here. Let's get their voices out, show their personalities, and use them as a bit of a magnet to draw more people in."
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. He's called Craig, this guy, and he's really open to new ideas and trying new things. So what we then did is build up a recruitment marketing campaign based around exactly that. And there are many different executions of it. So
Yeah.
we did a photo shoot, just pure people. It was really simple. We had a massive photo shoot in a big white studio with people, and had a great photographer working on the team at the time, and he just made everyone just laugh all day. So we got some great shots of them just cracking up, hair flying
Yeah.
everywhere, just having the best time. And then we also did interviews with them all to find out about what they really loved about their job, and a bit about them as people, their hobbies,
Yeah.
some silly things as well. We put all that together into campaign content that was everywhere. So from a sort of visual, just static point of view, we created these massive billboards at train stations and bus stops, which were just like pure white background and a person just laughing with a quote that "I love my job because," or
Yeah.
there was a younger person and it helps me get my first car, or like things like
Yeah.
that would really connect with people.
Yeah.
But they were all things that the people had said in interviews.
Yeah.
And those interviews we used to create short clips for a social campaign, like
Yeah.
20-30 seconds, little sound bites of
Yep.
what these people loved about their role. Anyway, applications went through the roof. I think it was like a 10 or 15 percent times uplift in application
Wow.
numbers.
That's considerable.
And they were
Yeah.
they were getting much more quality. I don't know the exact numbers,
Applicants.
but much more quality applicants
Yeah.
coming through the process. So much so that even when was it? Must have been 21. Yeah, 4 years or so later, they're still when they need to do a big recruitment push, they're still pulling out some of the old assets and creating their
Wow.
own
I
campaigns
mean,
themselves
yeah.
and going down that road.
Because that's repurposing, and I think,
Yeah.
a lot of companies are always scared to reuse old stuff, but actually, you spent time and effort, and that was good quality stuff, and you absolutely people recognize it as well, so actually the recognition element plays really well in your favor. So, I mean, always say, don't be scared to repurpose. You can just dress it up in slightly different clothes if you want to, but the content was quality, use it again. And I also, yesterday when we were catching up in our pre-meet, you were talking about one of your colleagues said, culture eats strategy for breakfast, I
Oh,
think you said.
yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's a phrase that lives rent-free in my head every day. So Ange, who's our lovely marketing consultant, and Ange, by the way, she's done really great things for DMB Films in terms of helping us come up with our values and our
Yeah,
vision. And yeah, we have values on the wall, right? But they're not just wallpaper. So
yeah.
and she always says it to me about like culture eating strategy for breakfast, because it's no good having these big visions and like your
Mhm.
values on a poster up on the wall, because the culture of an organization can just, if it's really positive, I'll absolutely reinforce all of that stuff. But
Yeah,
if it's not, can just erode all of that, and
yeah,
it's sort of meaningless. And what we were talking about yesterday, because video is a really good tool to showcase that culture,
yeah,
and it's not just those values on the wall. It's not just a CEO talking about the fantastic vision and objectives they've got. Culture is real, it's tangible,
yeah.
and video is such a great tool to provide a glimpse into a company's culture.
Oh, and absolutely. Funnily enough, culture and values and ethics has come up as a conversation quite frequently in the last few weeks for us at Innov8 Social, anyway. And it's something that my colleague Sam and I have been discussing. But actually, we were talking about it this morning as well, because we were saying that. Well, I guess when I first started Innov8 Social, I didn't really sort of pay it much mind, but actually, it's super, super important, because I realized, quite early on, that I do have quite strong values and ethics and morals, and it was coming through in how I was conducting business, and early on in the early days, there was a couple of clients that maybe we just didn't quite align on those, and therefore the partnerships didn't work. And you kind of go, oh, is it me? But actually, no, I think that's a good thing. And now all the clients that we have, that we work alongside, and the partnerships that we work with, they're all quite similar to the value. Like, we really value people, um and we have trust in each other. And I guess it's like, it's not just about communicating the cultural tribe in your company, but it's actually also then attracting other like-minded companies to do business with you, because they go, yeah, we value what you value. And that in itself, for sales, not just for recruitment, positions a company really well if you're able to communicate how you do business, because then other businesses go, oh, I really like how you're doing that.
Yeah, and they're like, yeah, and I'd like to work with them because of that,
Yeah.
or I'd like to be a customer of them. I'd like to part with my hard-earned cash and
Yeah,
spend it
trust
with
them.
them,
Yeah,
because yeah, because I trust them, and they treat their people well,
yeah,
and then I'm gonna encounter nice people when I spend my money with them.
yes,
So
yeah,
and all of that stuff you don't get from typical come and work here. We're great
yeah.
because we've made
It's very
X number of
plastic.
hundreds of millions. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, it's not meaningful. I would like to do one shout out, actually, because it came to my mind when we were having this discussion, and it was years ago when I was working for the marine engineering as sales, and we were busy pulling together a partnership, or exploring one anyway, and we were doing so with Wilhelmsen, and every single person, and we spoke to about 4 or 5 different very senior individuals in various different places. And I had meetings with each and every one of them, and I found each and every one of them that I engaged with was intelligent, was kind, was calm, was extremely professional, and it left me coming away with a hugely good opinion of that company, because obviously they'd spent time investing in the people who were reflecting the culture, and obviously they must have been doing the internal cultural things, so everybody was singing off the same hymn sheet. And so I always like to do a shout out on any positive companies that I've encountered. I think it's really nice to spread that word as well. I was going to also ask you, so how important is it to align recruitment videos with a company's wider social media and brand strategy? So I'm assuming that that the companies that you're coming alongside aren't just doing social media for recruitment, but actually they're doing other elements as well. And how do they weave in to their wider marketing campaigns?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting one, because I think there's absolute crossovers and there's elements where they sort of intertwine, and there's some places where they're very distinct and different. If this stuff is done right, you might set out to create a recruitment marketing campaign. But if it's strong enough and it's doing all of the things that we've spoken about
Mm,
already, that can also be a marketing tool, because we're just showcasing people to other people, whether they want to work for you or want to work with you or be a customer of you. It's just, they're all people.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think they can intertwine. But then there's other times where um, I think the two need to be quite separate. So if you're considering big brand marketing campaigns, which okay, I'm gonna backtrack a bit.
yeah,
I'm talking about the historical, I suppose, viewpoint, that big
yeah.
brand marketing campaigns might be very slick and very polished and need to really portray a particular brand message, that this doesn't necessarily align with that style of content and approach. You've got some brands who over here on the brand marketing side, they're using this style of content, and
Yeah.
it sort of works across the board. Like, I think it all really depends on the
It's the
brand.
brand. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, exactly.
stylistic decision, isn't
Yes.
it,
Yeah.
as to
Yeah.
how they want to communicate themselves. And I have seen some brands where they've got both. But then it might be because they're targeting different audiences. So then they're
Yeah, exactly.
segmenting their
Yeah.
marketing to hit the different audience types. And they've done it well as well. So, but it is, yeah, you're right. It is basically down to their strategy, their stylistic choice, their brand positioning, that sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, and I suppose it's a brand by brand
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what common mistakes do you see businesses making when they try to use video for recruitment? You've touched on it a few times already, actually. So let's explore that a bit more.
Common mistakes. So I won't say anything about quality, because um I think there's an absolute place for rough
Mhm.
and ready,
Yeah.
and even for
Authentic.
the like big global
Yeah.
brands. I think you can do it rough and ready,
Yeah.
within reason of course. Um, but the mistakes are, I mean, it's what I've touched on it sort of right the way through. It's about not being too contrived and too corporate. I suppose it's controlling the narrative too much to fit a sort of a corporate line, if you like. That's a mistake I've seen. Yeah, it's not focusing necessarily on the people and people's stories.
And it's funny you say that actually, because that's made me think of the corporate control, definitely, that I've experienced in the past, of corporates controlling the voices of their colleagues on social media, of you cannot say this and you must not say this and you must behave this way. And I've had this discussion actually in the past, and it's been an interesting one, because people are saying, well, but whilst they work for us, they've got to do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, yes, but you also have to recognize this is their personal profile that is not controlled or owned by the company. But what I will say is that if you are concerned about how employees conduct themselves in the digital space, it really is more about an education. And it might be that they're unaware of how to conduct themselves professionally, but actually there's some of their biggest assets is allowing your team to have a voice to talk about their day to day. And I think if you really want to tap into that, which I think you should, and you sound like a massive advocate of it as well, they can give them a little bit of training just to help them stay safe, and
Yeah,
stay clear of any sort of traps, as it were.
yeah. Give them a bit of training and some guide rails. So freedom within a framework. So, you
Yeah.
absolutely must not do this or talk about this, but all the rest of it's fine.
Yeah, and then it allows them to just flourish and grow their own personal brands, which I think is something that every business should be really supporting their team on.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
So if a listener wanted to take action tomorrow, Dan, and start using social media and video to support their recruitment, because I know I had a conversation with a marketing recruiter, no less actually, the other day, and they said that they have had lots of positions offered to some of the people they put forward, and the potential recruitees have declined and he's really struggling to locate marketing individuals to fit job roles. So, which is really strange, because then you've got the flip side, people going, oh no, there's going to be no jobs for marketing anymore. And, AI has come to take all your jobs. So you've got this sort of the lived experience. So I think that's really interesting. So if somebody wanted to take action tomorrow, because I know recruitment is an issue to find the right staff, as you're saying, what 3 things would you tell them to do?
Use real people. And by real people, I mean not your senior leaders who get wheeled out for everything. You use real people who are actually doing the job, and have some real stories. Ask some questions to showcase them as people. So don't just talk about their job role and what they do, but what makes them tick, what makes them get up in the morning, what's the favorite part of their day, as long as it's not clocking off. And show behind the scenes, show areas, obviously there might be some confidentiality bits to avoid, but show the areas you can show that maybe the everyday person wouldn't see and would be really interested in.
Yeah, I agree. Well, sadly, that is us coming towards the end of our podcast. So, Dan, where can people connect with you or DMB Films if they want to learn more or see examples of your work? And I would definitely recommend following DMB Films on social media if you haven't already, because, like we said, the content that you produce is great, and it's a great example of what you guys do, as well as and showcasing how you deliver that messaging for yourselves as well.
Yeah, so I'm on LinkedIn, Dan Bryant. Also the company DMB Films is on LinkedIn, Instagram, and our website is www.dmbfilms.co.uk.
That's brilliant. Well, that's it from us at the Social Media for Business podcast. A huge thank you to Dan today, Dan Bryant from DMB Films, for taking time out of, I know, your very busy schedule and being our guest on episode 9. So thank you all to have listened, and please don't forget to comment with any questions or topics that you'd like covering. And of course, if you've got any questions for Dan, please do pop a question in the comments as well. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any other episodes packed with tips from experts like Dan, and to help with your maritime business become more visible and share your positive business culture for attracting new talent, of course. So that's it. Bye for now.